Hey, happy Tuesday everybody. Today I was let off the hook when it comes to my babysitting shift. I suppose the house seems to be a little under the weather and they don't want to get me sick either. They did get tested to make sure it's that thing that shall not be named, and it was negative fortunately, but we don't want to take any chances, so I was able to sleep in for a little bit. Thank you very much. Yes, I need to get my rest, and I don't get enough of it lately it seems. After sleeping in for a little while, I eventually headed over to my friend's house to help them move. We planned this day a couple weeks ago, and they need help moving everything out of one house into another and moving some stuff out of a storage facility into their new apartment they just moved into. But we did some good work today, we knocked it all out, and they flipped me some cash. I didn't expect any money for this, I was just helping out a friend, and apparently they felt like they should help out a friend too, so thank you very much, Alan, I appreciate it. And what a curious day today too. It was April 20th, and this is what I came home to. Look at that. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous and also downright confusing? It's April 20th. We shouldn't have snow like this, much less snow sticking to the trees. I mean, it looks beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it's April. The snow should just be hitting the ground, if it snows at all, and disappearing. April showers bring May flowers, they say, right? Well, I don't know. I thought that it was definitely worth getting some footage of that because just look how beautiful that is. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm lucky to live where I live right now, and I'm still looking forward to getting a house in the near future. And speaking of getting houses in the near future, it looks like I'll be looking at more houses hopefully this Thursday. I'm hoping that my realtor's available. We'll see what happens. But for right now though, I wanted to talk about reading books and how I've been falling behind on my responsibilities, or at least my personal responsibilities and my personal desires to get through all these books in my bookshelf over there. How about we go check out my bookshelves right about now? Hey, here we are in the book corner. Look at all of these books. Most of them unread, some of them read. I'd say most of these are unread because I have this habit of giving away books after I read them. And if they're a really good book, I'll end up buying a couple more copies to give away to other people, or even just add to my permanent library. Lately, when it comes to reading, I feel very, very much behind. I feel very much behind on a lot of different things in life lately. I get overwhelmed, I suppose, with all these different projects and ideas and different things I want to do. And it's like that with my reading too, to be honest with you. I carry around several different books in my backpack at any given moment. And right now, the three that are in my backpack are these ones right here. We have The Miracle of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh, or Thich Nhat Hanh. I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce this gentleman's name, but he is a Vietnamese monk who is a figurehead in the Zen Buddhist community. Hey, Lucy. An interesting fact about this book is that it was originally a letter that was written to one of his brother monks inside the monastery they were in. And then there was a translator called Moby. No, not that Moby. M-O-B-I, Moby. And Moby was supposed to translate this book, and they had to do it in the state of mindfulness, meaning that they can only translate up to 6 pages per day, and with the original author right there next to them to make sure that no meaning was lost throughout the translation. I have to say, this book is very, very enjoyable. The way that Thich Nhat Hanh wrote this as a letter to someone else, to a brother monk inside the monastery, wrote it in such a way that it could be addressed to anybody. I find that pretty amazing myself because I find my own challenges when it comes to communicating with a general audience here on YouTube. Yet the way that this fellow speaks in their letter, it works for just about anyone who's willing to listen. So yeah, this book is more or less an introduction to achieving a state of mindfulness, or for meditation for beginners. I find it to be incredibly useful, and on a very, very personal level has been very rewarding for me over the years. I originally read this book several years after high school ended, and it was recommended to me by my friend Rob. And when I first read it, I think I got some of the main points, but I was missing some of the finer details inside the book. And it's really, really nice to go reading through it once again now with a more mature mind. The next book that I'm still plowing through is this book called The Addiction Formula, which was referred to me by my friend Kate Nix. Kate Nix is an amazing singer-songwriter, wrestler, seamstress, costumer, just an amazing person in general, and quite the visionary when it comes to art and culture. Anyways, this book is really helping me quite a bit when it comes to the concept of music production. Because as you may or may not know, I've been experimenting with electronic music production here. Some days I am on fire and I'm coming up with all these new beats and all these new ideas. And other days I feel like there's this block where there's not much in the way of creative energy flowing. Which is all the more reason why I carry around these little notebooks with me wherever I go, because you never know when inspiration is gonna hit, and when it strikes you have to be prepared to write down those ideas. because if you don't, they might be gone forever. Well, this book is very good with explaining a theory of song and music construction that follows the patterns of addiction when it comes to things that people become addicted to in general. And it also talks about this concept called the energy curve. So it refers to the rising and falling action within a song, and it uses terms like hype and tension and other terms in order to describe various kinds of rising and falling and even some flatline action, and when it is good to use and when you want to avoid using it in any given circumstance. I have to say, I don't know very much about music production. I'm just starting with all this stuff since the beginning of the year, with video production, with music production. And I have to say, this book already has given me quite a bit of foresight and quite a bit of useful information about how to plan and tactfully construct a quality song. So if you're interested in song creation or music production, I think this book right here is definitely worth checking out. The Addiction Formula by Friedemann Findeisen. I'm probably slaughtering the name, but there it is. And the third book I've been carrying with me for the past month or so in my backpack is this book. It's my college logic book, actually. And it's kind of nice going back through it and relearning logic again and getting a nice refresher. Logic as a term that people use in everyday language doesn't necessarily apply to informal logic, which is what this book teaches you. This book also does go over formal logic, which is more likened or akin to mathematics, with various symbols that represent various ideas that they teach in logic. But I really like informal logic and the art of the argument, how to form a proper argument, how to identify the premises and conclusions to an argument, the structure of an argument and whether or not the structure renders it invalid, and more or less the finer points when it comes to constructing a valid, sound, cogent argument and being able to articulate it properly and hold your own when it comes to a debate. And one of my favorite things about logic is the concept of logical fallacies and how often many of us fall victim to these things. Logical fallacies are things that seem to be true or seem to be a compelling argument at first glance, but then when you really dissect them, they turn out to be completely false and BS, really. And not all logical fallacies seem to be correct at first glance. Some of them are just straight up BS, you could see them as BS. But then again, some of them are also quite tricky, which can fool you and fool many people, and they fool us every single day on a mass scale. Every time you've seen a political debate or those talking heads on the news arguing over one thing and the other, they very often utilize and very often many people fall for these logical fallacies. So I'm not necessarily recommending this book, A Concise Introduction to Logic, 8th edition by Hurley. However, I am recommending anyone out there who is interested to check out logic in general, academic logic, informal academic logic. It's a great thing to read up on, and it's a great thing to understand so you can make sure that you're not being hypnotized by the crazy arguments that happen on television. You can actually identify whether or not something's BS a lot easier that way. So enough of the books, let's get back to the Paisley couch, shall we? And we're back. Well folks, thanks very much for tuning in and watching my video here today. I hope that you read more books in your life and get through that bookshelf of yours back at home. I'd like to think that we all have a stack of books lying around that need to be read, but from what I understand, there's a lot of people out there that just don't like reading and don't own any books. And that's kind of sad when I think about it, really. I mean, whenever I walk into a library, I get a little sad just knowing that there's not enough hours, there's not enough days, there's just not enough time in my life to read all the books in that library. So it makes me feel like I have to really choose wisely which books I want to spend my precious time and my precious life digesting. So far, my friends have given me fantastic recommendations, and I have plenty of amazing books that are worth rereading too. Oh yeah, and if you're new to my channel, please know that I do post every single day here on YouTube. It's kind of like an experiment to track my progress as a content creator, but also because I have a lot of stuff in my mind and a lot of stuff to share with the world. And one of the things I like to share with the world are circus and flow arts tutorials that teach you things like how to juggle, or how to juggle clubs, or how to contact juggle, like that thing that David Bowie did in Labyrinth with that crystal ball, or the fushigi craze that happened a couple years ago. Or if you want to learn how to spin things on your finger, we call that pediddling. It's when you take anything flat and spin it around on the tip of one's finger. Pediddling. It's a funny word, but that's what we use. Or if you want to learn how to do the devil sticks, just like that there, then all you got to do is click on my playlist section here on my channel and click on the Circus and Flow Arts Basics link, and you can find out more there. There's also a bunch of other playlists here on my channel that you can check out because I post so much content chaotically that maybe you can find another playlist in there that might suit your interests as well. Alright folks, thanks very much for tuning in, and thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. I appreciate it very much. From the Amazing Flec and my manager Lucy the cat that's probably sleeping somewhere else in the house, we'd like to remind you all to never give up, do your best, stay true to you, and be amazing folks. Thanks for watching and good night.